Pashudravina bandhushu Jechavikale nityam Udam mamatam jaho. Go for it. Atmajaya sutagara Ravina bandhushu Chavikale nityam mamatam jaho. Jaya sutagara. Thank you. Bandhushu Ajya chavikale nityam Virudham mamatam jaho. Atma sutagara Bandhushu Rajya chavikale nityam Vamatajayo. Anyone else? Atmajaya sutagaram Bandhushu Chavikale nityam Udam mamata jaho. Mataji's, please.
Atmajaya sutagara Pashudravina bandhushu Rajechavikale nityam
Udam mamata jayo. Atmajaya sutakara Pashudravina bandhushu Jatkavikale nityam Virudham mamatam jaho. Okay, so it's live. It's going good. It's regarding this. Okay, so just a disclaimer that this is a heavy verse for those who may be hypersensitive, who are looking for every excuse to get offended. Please don't watch this lecture. If anyone in that room feels this way, please leave the room. My humble request. So, because Prabhupada is, going to lay it down here. So it is Shukadeva Goswami. Atma, body. Jaya, wife. Sutam, son. Agara, palace. Pashu, horses and elephants. Dravinam, treasury house. Bandhushu, unto friends and relatives. Raje, in the kingdom. Cham, also. Avikale, without being disturbed. Nityam, constant. Virudham, deep-rooted. Mamatam, affinity. Jaho, gave up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who only translates and writes books for the benefit of all living entities. Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals, like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Purport. To become liberated means to become free from the Atma Buddhi, the illusory attachment for personal bodily coverings, everything connected with the body, namely wife, children, and all other entanglements. One selects a wife for bodily comforts, and the result is children. For wife and children, one requires a dwelling place, and as such, a residential house is also necessary. Animals like horses, elephants, cows, and dogs are all household animals, and a householder has to keep them as household paraphernalia. In modern civilization, the horses and elephants have been replaced by cars and conveyances with considerable horsepower. To maintain all these household affairs, one has to increase the bank balance and be careful about the treasury house. In order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relations with friends and relatives. That's big enough, right? Yeah. Okay. As well as become very careful about maintaining the status quo. This is called material civilization of material attachment. Devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachments as detailed above. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit was awarded all material amenities and an undisputed kingdom in which to enjoy the undisturbed position of a king. But by the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connections with material attachment. That is a position of a pure devotee. Maharaj Parikshit, due to his natural affection for Lord Krishna and as a devotee of the Lord, was always executing his royal duties on behalf of the Lord. And as a responsible king of the world, he was always careful to see the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. A devotee of the Lord never thinks of his household paraphernalia as his own, but surrenders everything for the service of the Lord. Thereby, living entities under a devotee's care get the opportunity for God realization by the management of a devotee master. Okay. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. One attachment is a path of darkness, and the other attachment is a path of light. Where there is light, there is no darkness. And where there is darkness, there is no light. But an expert devotee can turn everything to the path of light by an attitude of service to the Lord. And the best example here is the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthira and householders like him can turn everything to light by dovetailing so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. But one who is not trained or is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord, Nirbandha Krishi Sambandhe, must give up all material connections before he can be fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. In other words, one who has seriously heard Srimad Bhagavatam for even one day, like Maharaj Parikshit, from a fit personality like Shukadev Goswami, may be able to lose all affinity for material things. There is no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Parikshit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men, even for 700 years. To take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the grossest type of namaparad offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shritaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Zhagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swamaniti Namine Nijaguru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichinto Parihita Pitrige Hadyanda Sangsara Kupaha Prabhu Bhajana Sukabdo Majjayan Samsa Vishvo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamaniti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Desatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Chivakshisi Yasyasya Hridaye Samvit Tamrisimham Aham Bhaje. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam describing how Maharaj Parikshit, a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, gives up his material attachments because he knows the value of these things to be completely useless. There's one quality which endears Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all his devotees, and that quality, as stated by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Vairagya. Krishnadas Kaviraj says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu Bhaktargan Vairagya Pradhan Yaha Deki Priti Haya Gaura Bhagavan. That amongst all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, one quality which is common to everyone is renunciation. And looking at this sense of renunciation, Lord Chaitanya is very happy. Lord Chaitanya also came to teach us devotional service, but how? With renunciation. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshamrita Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Buddharya Samaham Prapadye. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to teach Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. He came to teach devotional service filled with renunciation. He came to teach us these things. Why? Because material attachments are contrary to spiritual attachments. Everyone understands that, yes, the topmost pastimes of Krishna are those with the gopis, right? So that is spiritual sex life of the Supreme Lord. That is the spiritual sex life of the Supreme Lord. But if one wants to understand the Adi Rasa, the spiritual sex life of the Supreme Lord, then one must have no inclination at all towards the material sex life that's available in this material world. That's a very important thing to understand. A person must learn to give up all kinds of attachments to this material world. And in order for them to do so, they have to learn the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They have to understand the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukadam Rita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavakaha. That this Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literature, is a ripened fruit of all Vedic literature, and it's meant for all those thoughtful men and women, and it's meant for them to drink this nectar and get the highest realization of the absolute truth. That's what the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for, and it's meant to describe the most nectarian passions of the Supreme Lord. So why is there a verse like this in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Should this have been edited out by Vyasadev's editing board or editing committee? No. Why is it present right here? Because this is a medicine that we all need to drink. This is a medicine that we all need to hear. Why is Prabhupada writing so many heavy things in this verse? Why is he writing this? Why? Because that is the nature of this material world. The nature of this material world is for one to become overly attached to things on this material platform. Overly attached to things made of matter. Prabhupada is saying, to become liberated means to become free from Dehatma Buddhi. Dehatma Buddhi means, what does Prabhupada say? The illusory attachment for personal bodily coverings and everything connected with the body. There's this verse in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, text number 8. Pumsasya mutani bhavametam taroraho hridaya grantamahu ato grihashyeta sutapta vittayar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. And I guess we can, could I please have the book too, so that way I could refer back and forth? Thank you, Prabhu. So, we see this over here, that the attraction between male and female is a basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in the term of I and mine. So, this, then the stand too, please. So, we can see this, that the attraction between male and female is a principal cause binding us to this material existence. Therefore, in order for us to understand the nature of the spiritual world properly, we need to free ourselves from all kinds of material attachments. That's why Nautam Das Thakur sings, Ara kave nitai chan karuna hoibe, sangsara basana mor kabe tu chahabe. That when will Lord Nityananda will be merciful enough to me in order for me to give up all my material attachments? When will that day come? Samsara pasana more kabi tucha habe. That my attraction to all these things of this material world becomes tucha, becomes completely insignificant. What is the description of the six Goswamis? Tyaktva tu namashesha mandala patim shrenim sada tuchavad. That the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Tyaktva tu namashesha mandala pati shrenim sada tuchavad. They looked at anything close to material sense gratification as completely tucha, as completely useless. Why? Because they were able to taste the higher rasas. one must know that there is no question of tasting the higher rasas of spiritual life while one is still attached to material life. It's a very important thing to understand. Many people think that, wow, Prabhupada is writing in this purport that we just read today. Prabhupada is writing that one selects a wife for bodily comforts and the result is children. For wife and children, one requires a dwelling place. And as such, a residential house is also necessary. Animals, now we have cars. To maintain all household affairs, one has to increase the bank balance and be careful about the treasury house. In order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relationship with friends and relatives, as well as become very careful in maintaining the status quo. This is called this material civilization of material attachments. So we understand that house is there, but you see that human civilization, that means that if one wants to enjoy sex life, they do it in private. They're not like monkeys and dogs. Anyway, nowadays they are, but ideally they should not be like monkeys and dogs doing everything on the street. You need to have a nice private place to do these things. And this private place doesn't come for free. You have to work really hard to get all these things. And when you work really hard to get all these things, then what happens? Then you have to then the natural the natural product of sex life is children. So when one has sex, children also come about. And when children come about, then one has to protect them. And then, if one has a beautiful wife, what does Chanakya Pandit say? The beautiful wife is a man's greatest enemy. Why? Why is she the greatest enemy? Why? Because so many other men will come after her. If you don't protect her enough, there's a chance of your marriage breaking apart and falling apart. These things are there in Shastra. What to say? Not say them? No, we have to say them. These things are there. These things are real. So Shastra is saying this, that you want to go, you want to get the most beautiful wife, you want to get a nice house, nice bank balance, nice this, nice that. What is the use of all these things? Mr. Death will come and crush all these things anyway. Mrityu Sarva Harashaham, the Supreme Lord who comes in the form of death and crushes all these amazing arrangements that we have made. Sometimes birds, they take so much effort into making these beautiful nests. Then one day a wind comes and the nest falls apart and the eggs falls apart and the whole family life of that bird is destroyed. Srimad Bhagavatam describes, this is a really good description. I was recently reading in the 4th canto, chapter 24, singing the song sung by Lord Shiva. The Lord Shiva compares the lives of materialistic householders to being like that of the bees enjoying honey from their own beehive. Beehive is there. And the bees work so hard to collect all that honey so they can all come and sit and enjoy that honey together. But has anyone seen what happens to the bees when they try to enjoy their honey in their own beehive? Anyone? You never saw it either, huh? They bite the hell out of each other while they're drinking that honey. Like anything. Maybe someone can find a video, you can put it up just for the graphic description. You can find one. So the bees, they fight together like hell in the beehives. They fight like anything. They bite each other. They sting each other. They sting each other the whole time. The yum, yum, yum. Sting, 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 sting. For one yum, 10 stings. And that is material life. We work so hard to gather all this money so we can all enjoy together. But while we're working so hard to enjoy all this money together, then what happens? What does the Bhagavatam say for materialistic householders who have materialistic kids and materialistic children? Calls them thieves and rogues, jackals. Why? You simply come to steal the money of the hard-earned, of the person who's worked so hard to earn them. You work so hard to collect all your money. Then son, how many family feuds are there? How many family feuds? It's your own brother, you grew up with him. Supposed to have a loving relationship with him. But no, the same hard-earned nectar that you're fighting for, that you earned so hard to enjoy, completely destroys you. Why? Because it's not being used in the service of Krishna. It's not being used in the service of Krishna. Therefore, it's horrible. There's another verse in the Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj says, Yanmai tunadi grihamedi sukham hi tucham. Why am I not remembering this verse right now? Yanmai tunadi grihamedi sukham hi tucham. Kandu yanena karayor iva karayor iva dukka dukkam. Tripyanti neha kripana bahudukka bhaja, kandu tivam manasijam vishaheta dhiraha. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Grihamedis, or so-called grihasthas, who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. The kripanas, the fools, who are just the opposite of brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensuous enjoyment. Those who are dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subjected to the sufferings of fools and rascals. So, those people who have no understanding of what spiritual life really is, they undergo this kind of suffering. They undergo the suffering caused by the so-called Grihamedi life. But the fools and rascals do not understand that the so-called happiness that a person enjoys hearing about sex or thinking about sex life and all these things, like this Bhagavatam verse says right here, is manasijam. What does this word mean? Yes, mind for sure. Manasi jam, which is simply a mental concoction. Actually, there is no happiness. There is no happiness. What happiness is there in this material world? The material world is a place of misery. It's a place of distress. What good comes out of this material world? Nothing really. What comes out of this material world? Nothing. That's why Sutta Goswami says, this material world is an ocean of suffering comprised of the tears of the fallen conditioned souls. You've heard this before? Hear it again and again and again. Until you actually realize it. That there is nothing worthy to hold on to in this material world. We are attached to this material world so deeply that what we need to hear becomes a poison to us, and what we really don't need to hear becomes nectar to us. That's our problem. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that attachments to things made of matter is our greatest malady. Because of attachment, things are made of matter. Just read the newspaper. You will see how many people kill each other over so-called love affairs. One day I love you, the next day you love me. Then we love each other for some time. And then after a few months we want to kill each other. How many murders happen over loved ones? One day she loved him, a few years later she killed him. Why? Why did this happen? Simply based on the sense of lust. Simply based on lusty desires. That's all. There is no Krishna in the center. There is no Krishna in the center. Because Krishna is not in the center, these things happen. All the time. So many times. Why do these things happen? Why is this supposed to happen? Why? Because the nature of this material world. If we forget Krishna, we're prone to suffer. Krishna boli sejiv anadir bahir mukha, nikata samatare de samsara dukha. Or Krishna boli sejiv bhoga vanchakare, nikata samachare jhapati adare. This is a good verse. Everyone should know this verse. Krishna boli sejiv. Say this. Krishna boli sejiv. Anadir bahir mukha. No, sorry. I'm mixing up two words. Krishna boli se jeev, bhoga vancha kare, nikata samaya tare, japatiya dhare. That forgetting Krishna, the fallen conditioned soul, likes to enjoy separately from him. And the minute he turns his face away from Krishna, Maya is right there. And you know what she gives him? A tight whooping. A nice tight slap. Boom! Every time. Nikata Samadhi Jhapati, she whoops him, smacks him around, left, right, and center, smacks him. This is in Prabhupada's purports. I can send you the exact verse. But this is there. The minute you turn away from Krishna, boom! Maya slaps you down completely. Slaps you down. And then, when she slaps you down, what are the two kinds of Shakti that Maya has? Once you're down, what does she do? Prakshepatmika vritti and avaranatmika vritti. That she kicks you down, and after she kicks you down, she covers you over thinking, oh, I'm fine. I'm so fine. I'm just fine. Are you okay? I'm fine. Prabhuji, your house is on fire. I'm fine. Prabhuji, some snake is crawling over your foot, going to bite you. I'm fine. Prabhu, like your hand is burning, I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Prabhu, you're going to die, I'm fine. It's okay, that's life. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. This is the illusion of material energy. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everyone is fine. Only the person who's telling you you're not fine is the person who's not fine. That is our illusion. So Prabhupada goes on to say, devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachments as detailed above. By the grace of Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit was awarded all material amenities, and he was always careful to see that the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. We can see that Lord Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee of Krishna from birth, even before birth actually. Even in his womb, he was worshipping Krishna. He saw Krishna in his womb. Parikshit means the examiner. I saw you. One more time, I'm going to make you stand up, okay? So Parikshit means the examiner. He was examining everyone to see if it was the same person that he saw in his mother's womb. Everyone he saw. He was always thinking of Krishna. Always thinking of Krishna. Krishna bhakti vina kala vyartha nahi aaye. That's a symptom of Maharaj Parikshit. That without remembrance of Krishna, he would not spend even a moment. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyana jatachit sarva vidhi nishedatma etayor eva kinkaraha. All the rules and regulations in the scriptures are complete servants to two principles. What are these two principles? Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyana jatachit. They're servants to these two principles. You know what they are? Anyone? Huh? Wrong. Anyone else? To always remember Krishna and to never forget him. Every rule in the scripture is meant for this. Sarva vidhi nishedatma etayor eva kinkaraha. Everything is meant to understand this. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyana jatachit. So smartavya satatam Vishnur. So always remember Krishna. Vismartavyana jatachit. Vismartavya. Do not forget. Jatachit. Do not forget him. Every rule and regulation in the Shastra is meant for this. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. So, Maharaj Parikshit was a perfect example of this. He never he never thought of his kingdom as his own. He never thought of the palace as his own. He never thought of the horses as his own, his weapons, his strength, his intelligence, his mind, even his body as his own. He always saw it as a property of Krishna. And because he saw it like that, Kali could not even enter his kingdom. Such a great king. We think, Prabhuji, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm so busy. Are you more busy than Maharaj Parikshit? Are you more busy than Ambarish Maharaj or the emperors of the whole world? More busy than them? You must be really like an important person. How much money do you have in your bank account? Negative $10. You really are such a busy person, such an important person? Bogus, nonsense. Simply like Kalki Prabhu was saying yesterday, there is no cure for insincerity. There is no cure. There is no cure. So Prabhupada goes on to say, and this is it right here, attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. Important point. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. Why? Why is this the case? Why do they go poorly together? Why? Because they simply increase one's attachment to this whole misconception of spiritual life. See, now, this is where it gets really, unfortunately, a little controversial. But there's many people who may sit on the Vyasasana and tell you, it's okay to be attached to your household paraphernalia. It's okay to have sex with your wife for the sake of recreation and not procreation only. Many people will say this. So many cheaters will say this. Be practical. Be practical. You can have sex with your wife for recreation. Procreation also, it's there. It may be there, maybe it may not be there. But you can have sex with your wife for recreation, Prabhuji. It's not a problem. Use contraceptives. No problem. People will tell you this. Really. They'll tell you this. They'll say, don't be so fanatical. You can go and what do you like to eat? Okay, your wife doesn't know how to bake bread. Go buy bread from the store. Go buy bread from the store and eat it. I remember once Grihastha invited us to his home for prasadam, and then we were eating, and then he's supposed to be a great cook, and then he gave us some bakery item which was bought from the store somewhere else. And we didn't know this. After we were done eating, he told us this. Would we have eaten it? Isn't that risking our spiritual life? Come, Prabhuji, I'm feeding you prasadam. And then on their altar they have Radha Krishna, they have this demigod, that demigod, this and that. How is this proper? How is this bona fide? How is this bona fide? No, Prabhuji, come, no problem. No, don't be fanatical. So many people will tell you, don't be fanatical. Please, don't be fanatical. What are you guys simply wearing these dhoti? Wear karmi clothes. Wear karmi clothes, Wear, you like eat karmi grains. It's okay to watch TV too. Watch Netflix. Watch TV. You see, there's verses like in the Bhagavatam that Savitvara hoshta karai samsita purusha pashuhu. That, like there's people are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. Verses in the Bhagavatam like Yasyasi bhaktir bhagavata kinchana sarvai gunai samasate suraha harava bhakta shikuto mahat gunan. Verses which say that non-devotees have no good qualities. That's just, they're not meant for us. Who are they meant for? The Bhagavatam, who is it meant for? You're reading the Bhagavatam, you're supposed to be a disciple or a grand disciple of Prabhupada or whatever. If Prabhupada's books are not meant for us, who are they meant for? Such statements in Prabhupada's books, Prabhuji, are not meant for us. You'll meet so many people who will tell you this. So many people. Oh my God, so many people. They'll tell you this, they'll tell you that. Feminism is demoniac. Puffed up conception of material life. Prabhupada writes it in his BOOKS. In many places. But it's too much, it's too fanatical, Prabhuji. It's too fanatical. And like this, like this, like this. And then what do they say? Prabhuji, at least he's chanting Hare Krishna. At least he's chanting Hare Krishna, Prabhu. At least. Is that what Prabhupada came to give us, that you at least chant Hare Krishna? Or Prabhupada came to give us an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead in this life? What Prabhupada come to give you? Think about it. There'll be so many people who will tell you so many things. They'll say, oh, they're too fanatical. They are brahmacharis. That's how they talk. Brahmacharis, that's how they talk, That's how brahmacharis talk. So the Prabhupada, he's writing this. He wrote this book just for brahmacharis. Then why didn't he call the Bhagavatam Brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness? And even the Brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness is meant for everyone. Why didn't Prabhupada write, even this Brahmachari book, even this actually not, okay, Brahmachari reader, Brahmachari, don't even call it that. Why didn't Prabhupada call this Bhagavatam only meant for fanatical renunciates? Why didn't he write that? What's going to follow? This, oh, that was close. Still going to follow? Okay. Yeah. Why didn't he write books meant for fanatical renunciates? Why didn't Prabhupada write that as the name of his books? Why? Is a Bhagavatam meant for fanatical renunciates or meant for all living entities of this world? The Srimad Bhagavatam, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Prati Shlokam, Avada, I always mess up the Sanskrit here, Avada, what is it? Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Yasmin Prati Shlokam, Abadat Davatyapi, Namanyanantasha Yashon Kitani Yat, Shinvanti Gayanti Grananti Sadavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, pastimes, form, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard and sung and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So, the Bhagavatam is meant for these kinds of people, for everyone. It's not just a Bhagavatam is not meant for fanatical renunciates who are Indian. So many people will tell you this. Oh, yes, go vote for a demon. Go ahead and vote for the demon. Yes, they do support abortion, they do support beef eating, they do support all these things, but go and vote for them. Why am I saying? Because all these things are attachment for household paraphernalia. All these things. Why? Because if you're in that household, you have to maintain that status quo. You will start to, if you're too attached to your household and the jobs and all this kind of stuff, then the opinions of those who are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses will take equal, if not more, precedence than the opinion of Shastra and the previous acharyas. The way we shape our lives, the way we shape our thoughts, the way we shape everything that we do is not based on what the fools and rascals who do not even know that they need to take a bath after passing stools say. The way we shape our thoughts, the way we shape our mind, the way we shape our activities are not meant to be not dictated by those fools who do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything we do is not meant to be dictated by those idiots who actually think this entire world came from a bang. We are not supposed to take the opinion of these fools and rascals seriously. We're not supposed to. What does the Bhagavatam say? Mahotsaha dwaram ahur vimukte. Tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Where is this? Mahotsavam. Is 2 Kalki? Is 552, you think? Okay. Mahotsavam dwaram ahur vimuktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachitta prashanta vimanyava suhrida sadhavo ye. That one cannot attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, now listen to this. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So, whose opinion should we take more seriously? The Mahatmas or the Duratmas? The Mahatmas who behave in every ideal way possible, like Srila Prabhupada, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like Shukadev Goswami. Should we take their opinion seriously, or should we take the opinion of hogs, dogs, camels, and asses who have 2 legs seriously? Whose opinion? You want to know what the verse number is? What is it? No, it's something else. Okay. You can ask questions. I'm going to stop very shortly. So, we understand this. And why is the Bhagavatam speaking so heavily against this conception? Because this is a principle which binds us all to this material world. This is the thing which binds us all to this material world. So many things in the Bhagavatam. I'm just going to read some quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, some people will hear this lecture and say, oh, these people are misogynists. Anyway, I guess reading from Prabhupada's books make you a misogynist too. So, we can see this. Canto 3, chapters 31. Okay. We can just read from here. Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 3, chapter 31, text number 32 onwards. If therefore a living entity associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people, engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and the gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before. Anyway, I strongly recommend devotees read this purport, but I'll just read a small section of it. Generally, people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is material life. Material life means eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity and the process of spiritual advancement. Since materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, belly, and genitals, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful of associating with such people. To associate with such materialistic men is what? Is to commit purposeful suicide in the human form of life. Not only should we not associate with this, we must preach about this. It is said, therefore, that an intelligent man should give up such undesirable association and should always mix with saintly persons. When he is in the association with saintly persons, all his doubts of spiritual expansion of life are eradicated, and he makes tangible progress on the path of spiritual understanding. It is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of faith. Okay. But unfortunately, they cannot give up association of persons who are too much addicted to sex life and the satisfaction of the palate. There you go. Please listen to this. Here it is very clearly said that one may officially be a very religious man, but if he associates with such person, then he is sure to slide down to the darkest region of hell. This includes the devotees also, who instead of thinking of the Krishna conscious movement as a mission, think of it as their religion. And then when they do that, you'll see so many devotees, they don't chant their 16 rounds. Every now and then they chant their 16 rounds and they feel like they're qualified to instruct the whole world. You'll see so many people. They have Radha Krishna and they offer karmic grains to Radha Krishna. Why? Because they do not understand this. Why? Because they're envious of the principles of pure devotional service. He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities. Prabhupada, those who are too addicted to sex life cannot understand the purpose of the absolute truth, nor can they be clean in their habits, not to mention showing mercy to others. They cannot remain grave. They have no interest in the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is Krishna or Vishnu. But those who are too addicted to sex life cannot understand that their ultimate interest is Krishna consciousness. Such people have no sense of decency, and even in the public streets or parks, they embrace each other just like cats and dogs and pass it off in the name of lovemaking. We are fortunate we don't see this here, but many devotees, one husband of someone else and wife of someone else, when they see each other, Haribol Prabhu, and they all hug each other. Really? I've seen this with my own eyes. Haribol Prabhu, and like they all, what the hell is this? Are you reading Prabhupada's books? No, you're not reading. Your life becomes Haribol Prabhu. Such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. Unfortunately, it may even be that devotees who may have been practicing for 50 years, they also go and embrace each other with Haribol Prabhus and Matajis, who they call Prabhus, which is very strange. But anyway, such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. Behavior like that of cats and dogs keeps them in the position of cats and dogs. That's their position. They cannot improve any material condition, not to speak of becoming famous. Such foolish persons may even make a show of so-called yoga, but they are unable to control their senses and mind, which is the real purpose of yoga practice. So many devotees are yoga teachers, yoga masters, yoga instructors. But they do this. So many, oh my God. When I was a bhakta, I was 19 years old. So many of the devotees in a particular city that I was there at a particular time where yoga is the way, the truth, and the light. So many of them hugged me and I thought, wow, this is just amazing. This is like so good. And then I read Prabhupada's books. I'm like, whoa. When they came to hug me, I'm like, no, stop. My guru will reject me. Women, yeah. Yeah, I mean, devotee women. I'm just making it very clear. No, not men. Come on, not men. Men and men is fine. Women and women is fine. Men and women, not fine. Anything in the middle, I don't know what that deal is, but just don't do it. Such people can have no opulence in their lives. In a word, they're very unfortunate. I'm not saying this. Prabhupada is saying this. And Prabhupada is not a misogynist, FYI. One should not associate with the coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization, who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. This is Sutta Goswami. The restriction of association with such foolish persons is especially meant for those who are in line of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Please, at least do not normalize associating with the karmis. Please. For the love of God. Advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the qualities of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, intelligence, and spiritual knowledge, simplicity, material opulence, fame, forgiveness, and control of the mind and the senses. All these qualities are to be manifested with the progress of Krishna consciousness. But if one associates with a Shudra, a foolish person, who is just like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman, then he cannot make any progress. Lord Chaitanya is advised that any person who's engaged in Krishna consciousness, who desires to pass beyond material nations, must not associate himself with women or with persons interested in material enjoyment. For a person seeking advancement in Krishna consciousness, again, in the same chapter, in two purposes that we just read, Prabhupada is saying, such association is more dangerous than suicide. Prabhupada is saying this. Just now, almost back to back, Prabhupada is saying this. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object. Check this out. Check this out. Yes, the homie may be attached to his Tesla, the homie may be attached to his this or that or this or that or this or that. But what does the Bhagavatam say? The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Should I drop the mic? But you see this here. Attachment to women is so contaminating that one becomes attached to the condition of material life, not knowing, not only by the association of women, but by the contaminated association of persons who are too attached to them. There are many reasons for a conditional life in the material world, but the topmost of all causes is the association of women, as will be confirmed in the following stanza. So basically, like, what we've read so far is just a warm-up of what's to come in the verses to go. You know, in Kali Yuga, association with women is very strong. In every step of life, there's association with women. If a person goes to purchase something, the advertisements are full of pictures of women. The psychological attraction for women is very great, and therefore people are very slack in spiritual understanding. The Vedic civilization, based on spiritual understanding, arranges association with women very cautiously. Out of the four social divisions, the members of the first order, namely Brahmacharya, the third order, Vanaprastha, the fourth order, Sannyas, are strictly prohibited from female association. Once a devotee went up to Prabhupada and asked Prabhupada, our philosophy is so nice, our chanting, we're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, this and that. Then why are so many of our sannyasis and brahmacharis falling down? Why? Because they associate too much with women. Prabhupada said this. Only in one order, the householder is there license to mix with women under restricted conditions. No Haribol Prabhu, no. In other words, attraction for a woman's association is a cause of material conditioned life, and anyone interested in being freed from this conditional life must detach himself from association of women. And, okay, this will just go on and on. And on. I strongly recommend Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, I think. Let me see, where are we? Oh yeah, Canto 3, Chapter 31, verse number 32 to 41. Please read it. You know, it's what the Bhagavatam says. We're not making these things up and all these things. But one thing we should also understand is Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshubha. That sex life, not contrary to the principles of religious life, is Krishna himself. That right Prabhupada is writing in this purport that we read today, that householders like Maharaj Parikshit and Maharaj Yudhishthira and all of them, they can transform their material house and so-called material assets into objects meant for service of Krishna. Anashaktasya vishayan yataharam apuyunjitaha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchite. That a person who is not attached to these material objects can actually see them as objects meant to be used in the service of Krishna. So a Krishna conscious householder is the exact opposite of what we have read. A person who is actually following the principles which are laid down by Srila Prabhupada and the Shastras is completely bona fide. This is not let's all just hate grihasthas and women class. We just have to understand the reality of the situation. We have to understand how dangerous it is. We have to understand what it actually means to be a responsible grihastha, a responsible brahmachari, responsible vanaprastha, and responsible sannyasi. This we have to understand what all these things mean. All these things are ultimately meant to bring us close to Krishna, the lotus feet of Krishna. The goal of life isn't to be a brahmachari. The goal of life is to love Krishna. Atmendriya priti vancha tare balikam, Krishendriya priti cha dhare premanam. The desire to satisfy one's own senses is known as lust, whereas the desire to satisfy the senses of Krishna is known as love. So, we must learn the principles of Krishna consciousness. Even if we are not following the pure principles of Krishna consciousness, we must not be envious of the principles of pure devotional service. That even if you get married, please follow these things properly and set an example of ideal household life. No one is condemning marriage. Marriage is actually encouraged in Vedic civilization. Marriage is encouraged. Please be responsible. Do not become a monkey. Be a human being. And then if you're fixed in your position as a householder, you're more worshipable than the brahmacharis also. Why? Because the objective sense gratification is right there, but you're so sense control that you're able to turn all these things into devotional service to Krishna. So this is there. So please understand this. We don't hate women, we do not hate householders, but we have to preach the message of Krishna consciousness as it is. This is what the Bhagavatam is saying. Therefore, be very careful. Even the Mahajanas, how many Mahajanas are there? 12 Mahajans. Who are the Mahajans? The greatest authorities in Krishna consciousness. Who are them? Who are they? Narada, Yamaraj, Parikshit Maharaj, the 4 Kumaras, Prahlad Maharaj, Shiva, Bali Maharaj. I think we just, Shukadev. We said Yamaraj. Bhishma, Brahma, Swayambhu Manu, and this one most devotees always forget. Janak, wow. Yes, that's right. Kalgiri on point. So Janak Maharaj. So out of them, only 5 are brahmacharis and 7 are grihasthas. So you can understand that, it's not that only brahmacharis, nothing like that. Everyone can, provided you follow. Provided you follow. For brahmachari life, it's simple, no problem. We only have one duty, Acharya Upasana. Worship the Guru and go back home, back to Godhead. It's cool. I'm just saying, that's the truth. It's less complicated. It's simple life. We don't have many complications. But grihastha life, there may be so many duties. But if they're performing their duties properly, all glories to them. Make as many pure devotees, Sankirtan men as possible. That'll be amazing. Please. Whoever gets married in Krishna life, we humbly request a donation of your sons. Please, you give birth to nice progeny, nice sons, nice daughters. Give birth to them and make them pure devotees of Krishna. And the generation goes on like this. Therefore, Daiva Varnashram Dharma is so much needed. It's all a part of the plan, So please think of all these things, understand all these things. And please don't be attracted to all these devotees who do a big drama and do like a big show and a big drama and they speak only the sweet things, but they do not apply the principles of Krishna consciousness. They forget that the preaching mission is the main mission in the whole of Lord Chaitanya's movement. They like to say things which sound very good to the ears, but they do not force surrender. Do not fall for these people. They're all over YouTube. They may have nice hairstyles. They may do big drama when they speak. And they may speak about all this sweet nectarian stuff. But the sweet nectarian stuff is actually like poison for most of the people. From most of the people, most of the times. So please be very careful. The best way to judge is to see how Prabhupada is speaking and see if the person is speaking like Prabhupada is speaking like something completely different. So anyway, a lot more things can be said. Are there any questions or comments or protests? Okay. Anyone? Okay, Nick. Jitagirish, go for it. Kalki Prabhu? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Just, I guess, a couple comments. So I'll just make them short so everybody else can speak. So one thing is that it was mentioned the other night, but just to kind of give another side to that, it was kind of like a joking thing that, so the understanding that what Srila Prabhupada gave and expected of his disciples was that, of course it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, but that the Dharma Viruddha Bhuteshu. So that Krishna is that sex life which follows religious principles, which is once a month. So the joke was like, what's the point of that? Because there's no point. But the thing is, that's indicated of a misconception that sex life isn't for sense gratification. First of all, so the whole point actually of the Shastra, which teaches, is that one engages in sex life to have progeny. That's the point of engaging in it. So if we have that understanding, that means we have a misconception of the point of sex life, that is for enjoyment. But we see actually in the Bhagavatam, I was talking with Jitagirish Prabhu one of the other days, but the actual perfection of household life in the Bhagavatam is that, what you're reading from here is, but with Kardama Muni. Right. Is that, and that he had his family, his child. He had a son. He renounced that, and then his son was also, he's a whatever incarnation of Krishna, but he spoke that spiritual knowledge, delivered his mother. So that's like the perfection, the topmost of that. That's the ideal. But the main thing is that the culture of Krishna consciousness is so important, that all these things are taught and understood. Right. Because even though people, they may not be Krishna conscious, to my understanding, in India, they have these understandings. Right. That you're not, whatever, you don't have sex until you're like 60 or whatever, you have kids and then you finish them like that. And so all those things are helpful, and they tie into Krishna consciousness also. But anyways, just there's some small things.
Yeah. Yes, Chandan.
Something a little bit more heavier, because the field of service I'm involved in, I deal with a lot of and it's outside of this, because I'm not going to name it. I was speaking to for some time. Very sweet guy, like really intelligent. He loved reading the Bhagavatam with me. Was awesome. We would talk for hours about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, how amazing is it, and he was genuinely feeling inspired. So he was meant to come. It happened some time ago.
Speaking to the mic.
It happened some time ago, and it's really heavy, because it's like, he's a young guy, and he's really sweet. He's really sweet, get along really nicely. So he said, I've never really shared this, but reading, that's fine. So he sent me this message. I had a sexual relationship with a married woman the night before. I didn't feel right walking into a monastery the next day. Honestly, brother, all austerities and restrictions put aside, passion and intelligence to study these texts, I haven't felt called to follow them. I deeply respect your beliefs, and lifetime at least.
That person is going to receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. You know why? Because he's not envious of the principles of pure devotional service.
He's a sweet guy.
That guy will receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Why? Because he's not envious. I can, and then, sooner or later, he'll receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah. It's just,
because he at least theoretically accepts that this is the absolute truth. And that to live by this is the highest thing.
Yeah, it's quite heavy. It's quite heavy.
It is heavy. It's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is needed. If he came here to receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya anyway. Prabhu, like with the exception of the first part, like I probably, I thought everything else that the homie said, even me,
the first part,
I couldn't go for 12, 12 hours, 3 hours without listening to rock and roll.
It's just crazy that, the reason that he wasn't able to bring himself to that was what he did.
Yeah,
that's like really like...
It is, listen, it is what it is. Homie's got a guilt consciousness, I appreciate that, but...
I'm just saying that the opportunity of devotion service and how one can easily get get completely bewildered by material energy. Yeah. And most people have that, people are able to come up to that. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He'll come up. You see, even people I'm not going to make a name this person, but now this person is more than 60 years old. He chants 16 rounds, sometimes chants 32 rounds every day, follows the 4X, fasted on Gaur Purnima, showed up, doing all these things. He actually had the opportunity to take to Krishna consciousness when he was 17. He saw the devotees. No one ever spoke to him. He saw the devotees. But he thought, this life is not meant for me. But he wasn't envious of the devotees. Therefore, he is becoming fixed. So I do want to give the Matajis an opportunity. So Jita and Nick, you can ask me in person. We'll sit. You can please ask. It's okay. You can ask me later.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother Amber. Hare Krishna.
So I actually, my original question, I have a question that kind of piggybacks off of what what he just said. But my original question was, you mentioned that you went somewhere to eat and you took karmi grains.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was like he was trying to ruin, I guess, your practice, or I'm totally misquoting you, sorry. But if your intentions were good and you went there under the assumption that he knew the regulations, then why would that reflect on you for eating
Right.
it?
So, firstly, he didn't have his malicious, let me invite these brahmacharis over and feed them karmi grains. Or, that was not his Adirgutta bhav, you know what I'm saying? He just it was actually our fault to not have asked, did you cook this?
Yes. So to piggyback off of what he just said, I'm not doing anything as like extreme as like sleeping with married men or women for that matter, but I do find myself in situations where I'm not torn because I believe, I don't even want to say the word believe. I know wholeheartedly that this is the truth. But I still hang with my karmi friends. I still do karmi things. You know what I mean? And I'm born here in Georgia, Decatur at that. So
Decatur, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much that I struggle with because I say this all the time because I struggle with it so much, but I'm unlearning so much and I'm relearning so many things that are new to me. So sometimes, like when I'm in the association of the Masajis, I do feel like, okay, maybe, but then when I am outside, I feel like, well, maybe I'm just not good enough because I'm still doing things that I know I shouldn't be doing, and I'm
certainly receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, okay? And you see, even myself, when I came in touch with the, illicit relationships, the only thing I started was eating meat. I told you this before, of this devotee who was a chain smoker. I told you this? Okay, there was a devotee, he was a chain smoker, okay? And he read in the books that chanting Hare Krishna gives you the higher taste. The highest taste and nothing else will give you a taste higher than this. So he thought, okay, let me smoke a cigarette and let me chant a round of Hare Krishna. Let me smoke a cigarette and let me chant a round of Hare Krishna. And then one of the, So yes, we also, I also had I joined in New York. I had my whole scene over there in New York. And I also had the devotees. And unlike the Matajis, you have that all friendly and willing to serve you in every way and help you wear a sari and all these things. When I joined in New York, everyone kind of hated me. That's how it was. I'm sorry, that's how they were. But I still got such a higher taste from hearing the Bhagavatam that I thought this is it, man. At a certain point of they started to get kind of fried out that I was taking the Krishna consciousness more. I remember we were driving over the Brooklyn Bridge, sitting in one of my homies' cars. And then we were driving and I told him, bro, I think I'm not going to eat meat anymore, bro. I'm going to be vegetarian. And then that look on his face, he turned back and he said, the Hare Krishna's got you, huh? And then I was I could have been oh no, bro, it's not like that. I could have said, but yeah, bro, I guess they got me. I knew at that point of time my relationship with him was done. So these things happen, these things happen, and give time some time. You're already doing good, just keep doing this.
Okay, and last thing. So with that being said, God forbid I die tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And I haven't completely surrendered. Do I have to come back here?
So Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, what's Neha Bikram Anasasti verse number? Neha Bikram Anasasti Pratyavayo Navedite. So Alpam Apyasya Dharmasya. 241 is Vyavasayatmika Bhuti. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Okay? So there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita. 340? 240. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text number 40. That there is no loss or diminution in this process. So, if God forbid you die, your devotional accumulated service will stay and in your next life you'll continue from there. So yes, I'm coming back. Yeah, unless you perfected your life by tonight. Or whenever. It is possible, it's not impossible. Is that okay? Kalki Prabhu, yes.
Just one comment about the whole Karmi Association. So,
Mike, please.
It's short. Probably everybody has that experience, like taking the Krishna consciousness, because it's not like, you, and for at least for most people, you don't like overnight just like, jump into the temple and then leave everything. There's like still some like whatever, like a gradual thing. So at least one thing I kind of realized, like, I had, whatever my friends before Krishna consciousness, and I was coming to the association with devotees. And at least for me, I found that like, if I hung out with my friends kind of like on their terms, like if I went to where they were going and doing what they were doing, then, usually I'd have like a bad experience. But over the years, I kind of found that like, instead of like having, like if I wanted to like talk with them or whatever, or meet them, then I'd have them come to the temple, and then whatever, they would take prasadam and we kind of be around the temple, or I'd invite them over for like a festival or something like that. So I just found that it was like easier, and it was more beneficial for me and for them to kind of like bring them into like the Krishna conscious society, because at least my friends were like interested
Open,
in that.
yeah.
And like favorable, though they never like really became like serious devotees or anything. They were really favorable, and they would go and visit the temple sometimes, and they had like a good impression of everything. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I found that helpful.
That's why, when we are associating with the karmis, we don't take their association, but we give them our association. So that like that. Okay, so I think ding, ding, ding. Or like you have something. Okay, I go for it. I guess I'm the vice president, the president isn't here. So, yeah.
So on multiple occasions, a lot of Masajis express that they don't want to come back to our temple because it's too strict, it's too rigid, and stuff like that. So like, what do we say?
What's too strict? Like what? Like following the 4 legs?
Everything about.
Everything about Krishna consciousness is too strict.
I mean-
therefore I don't want to come back.
Yeah, like they feel as if it's intimidating because they're from America and they're from Atlanta, and it's hard to, I guess, wear sari every day and to wear tilak and to like what else were we talking about yesterday?
Is that pretty much it?
So I guess in a sense it is, when you have no complete knowledge, or even when you have just a little bit, it seems to be intimidating, because even like I just keep coming because of what I feel. But I know that in the beginning, being around the other Matajis, I felt completely intimidated and not worthy of being here. And so a couple of times I just was like, I don't think I should go back, because it's not necessarily maybe that it's too strict, but when you're not used to living that way, it's so intimidating, and you just don't feel like you can, like either you're not worthy enough, or if I don't follow all of these rules to a T, then what's the point of me doing
Right.
it?
So firstly, we don't make people feel like that in the first place, We don't ask them to immediately like start wearing a sari, start wearing tilak, or like shave your head, wear a dhoti and join the temple. We don't have them do that. We understand. And that, they can come in, they can take the prasadam, they can attend all these programs and do all these things. But at a certain, for example, there was a particular person over here when Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was here. He was staying in the ashram for a few days, and he was refusing to put on tilak. And Maharaj, he went and spoke to Maharaj, and Maharaj told him, yeah, you can stick around here. You don't need to wear tilak and dhoti for now if you really don't want to. But at a certain point of time, if you want to get serious and if you really want to take to it, then you'll have to do all these things. So we don't make people feel like full-time or let's say no other option. We don't make them feel like that. We make them feel very welcome always. At least with the men, so many of the men keep coming back. Like I know so many people that they don't feel like they have to like give everything up in order to hang out with us. It may be that they may have been certain people who may be giving off that vibes. And if they're not there, or if they're if that kind of preaching is not done, we've noticed it also sometimes that there may have been a few people who may have been giving off that holier than thou condescending bhav that was rooted out, So as far as I'm noticing, all of you are like really sweet and welcoming to the Matajis, right? Most of the time, I hope. Yeah. And it seems like there's the whole family thing, and all of a sudden we're seeing so many more Matajis come. Like for example, like yesterday, like I saw that, I don't know,
Kamra Mataji was in there too.
Kamra Mataji was in there. That Mataji.
What's her name?
She also came, Sanita Mataji. She contacted me on Facebook a long time ago, and like that's how she came. You know, and she's come, and like they don't feel like that. They don't feel like you have to surrender overnight. Yes, there's initial, maybe a little bit, but there's initial things, which may be there, and especially because, the men at least who have been around in Krishna consciousness for like association of devotees for around at least 8-9 years, most of us. But some of the women are new, so like initially mistakes may have been made, But you learn, it's growing pains, these things happen all the time, So you learn, you see how these things are, you observe. The thing is, you don't have to make people feel like they have to join overnight, otherwise they're complete crap or scum.
Yeah, it's really like, the thing is like, you preach by example.
Yeah.
You preach by example, not by forcing your idea upon them. You just let them come and do it, and they'll take it up on their own. Like you teach them the philosophy. We don't change our philosophy, and we don't change our strictness, but let them come. Guru Maharaj often says in his lectures that people just want a friend.
And he actually told me that over the phone.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj actually told me that sometimes people are just looking for a good friend.
That's what really a lot of the actually speaking to people is about. It's actually just actually becoming
their friends.
And it's not fake. It's genuine because you do care for them and you want to care for their spiritual life. But when they come, just hang out with them, speak to them about Krishna consciousness. If they're not looking to be instructed, you don't have to. They're asking for advice, then you can. But let them see how you're living, how you're happy, how your life is much better. Naturally, they'll take it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's our personal experience.
Yeah, it may be that there may be people who like immediately jump on the Guru Bhav and they start like, hey, you don't know, and they start doing that stuff. What the hell is that? Who taught them that? Some people were doing this. We asked them not to come to one of the programs that we were doing. That may be a big factor. Now it's not that. So we understand like that. Is that okay? A little more is there, or you sure? Okay. All right, so I think we should stop now.
Hare Krishna.
So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vansha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.